Installing a Rainbird drip irrigation system involves several important steps. Firstly, proper system design is crucial. Determine the water needs of your plants and the area you intend to irrigate. Choose the right type and quantity of sprinklers, drippers, and tubing. Lay out the system to ensure uniform water distribution and carefully avoid overwatering specific areas. Secondly, using quality materials makes a big difference in the long run. Opt for durable and ultraviolet resistant materials such as polyethylene tubing and brass fittings. Consider choosing sprinklers and drippers with adjustable flow rates to customize watering for different plant needs. Thirdly, proper installation is paramount for system longevity and performance. Dig trenches deep enough to prevent damage from foot traffic or equipment. Lay the tubing and sprinklers or drippers in the trenches, ensuring they are level and securely placed. Use proper fittings and clamps to connect all components tightly and prevent leaks. Fourthly, pressure regulation is essential for even water distribution. Install a pressure regulator at the water source to maintain a consistent pressure throughout the system. This helps prevent leaks and ensures all plants receive the intended amount of water. Fifthly, filtration is important to prevent clogging. Use a filter to remove impurities from the water source. This prevents clogging of sprinklers and drippers, extending their lifespan and maintaining optimal performance. Sixthly, using a timer can significantly improve watering efficiency. Install a timer to automate watering schedules. Set watering times based on plant needs and prevailing weather conditions, adjusting as necessary. Seventhly, consistent maintenance will keep the system in good working order. Regularly inspect the system for leaks or damage. Clean sprinklers and drippers as needed to prevent clogging, ensuring consistent water flow. You can also consider fertilizing plants through the system if desired, using a compatible fertilizer. Some additional tips include considering a drip irrigation consultant for professional guidance, especially if you are unfamiliar with drip irrigation systems. Plan for future expansion if necessary, allowing for additional zones or watering needs as your garden grows. Use mulch around plants to retain moisture and suppress weeds, reducing the need for frequent watering. Be patient and adjust watering schedules as needed to optimize plant growth, observing how plants respond and making changes accordingly. Selecting the right components for the drip irrigation system is also an important consideration. The emitters are available in different gallon per hour ratings like 0.5, 1.0, and 2.0 gallons per hour. Consider the soil type. For sandy soils, use lower flow rate emitters spaced closer together, perhaps every 12 inches. For clay soils, you can use high flow rate emitters spaced further apart, maybe every 18 to 24 inches. This helps prevent water from pooling on the surface and ensures even water penetration. Also, it is important to avoid mixing different emitter flow rates in the same zone, as this can lead to uneven watering. The main water line that feeds the drip irrigation system is another factor to consider. Typical sizes include 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch polyethylene tubing. The size you need depends on the length of the run and the total flow rate required by all the emitters in the zone. A longer run or a higher flow rate will require a larger diameter main line to minimize pressure loss. It is a good idea to calculate the total flow rate required by all emitters in a zone and then consult a flow chart for polyethylene tubing to determine the appropriate size. Proper trench depth is important to protect the tubing from damage. A depth of 6 to 8 inches is generally sufficient to protect the tubing from foot traffic. If you are using heavier equipment in the area, such as a lawn mower, you may want to bury the tubing deeper, perhaps 12 inches. When burying the tubing, be careful not to kink or stretch it, as this can restrict water flow. Also, it is a good idea to mark the location of the buried tubing with flags or sticks so that you do not accidentally damage it later when digging. Pressure regulators are essential for maintaining consistent pressure in the drip irrigation system. Most drip emitters are designed to operate at a specific pressure, typically around 25 to 30 pounds per square inch. If the water pressure is too high, it can damage the emitters and cause leaks. A pressure regulator will reduce the water pressure to the appropriate level. It is important to install the pressure regulator before the filter to protect the filter from high pressure. Filters are necessary to prevent clogging of the drip emitters. There are several types of filters available, including screen filters and disc filters. Screen filters are generally less expensive, but they require more frequent cleaning. Disc filters are more expensive, but they are more effective at removing fine particles and require less frequent cleaning. The type of filter you choose will depend on the quality of your water source. If you have hard water, you may also want to install a water softener to prevent mineral buildup in the emitters. When connecting the various components of the drip irrigation system, it is important to use the correct fittings. There are many different types of fittings available, including barb fittings, compression fittings, and threaded fittings. Barb fittings are the easiest to install, but they are not as secure as compression fittings or threaded fittings. Compression fittings provide a more secure connection, but they require more tools to install. Threaded fittings are the most secure type of fitting, but they require Teflon tape to seal the threads. Also, remember to use ultraviolet resistant fittings if they are exposed to sunlight, as these are less prone to cracking over time. When installing drip emitters, make sure they are properly seated in the tubing. If the emitters are not properly seated, they can leak or pop out of the tubing. Some emitters have a barb that helps to hold them in place, while others require a special tool to install. It is also important to protect the emitters from damage from animals, such as rodents. You can do this by placing a wire mesh cage around the emitters. Timers are a great way to automate the watering schedule. There are many different types of timers available, ranging from simple mechanical timers to sophisticated electronic timers. Electronic timers offer more flexibility and control over the watering schedule. They also allow you to set different watering schedules for different zones. When setting the watering schedule, it is important to consider the water needs of the plants, the soil type, and the weather conditions. It is also a good idea to monitor the soil moisture levels to make sure that the plants are getting enough water. Soil moisture sensors can be used to automatically adjust the watering schedule based on the soil moisture levels. Routine maintenance is essential for keeping the drip irrigation system in good working order. Regularly inspect the system for leaks and clogs. Clean the filter regularly to remove any accumulated debris. Flush the system periodically to remove any sediment that may have accumulated in the tubing. Replace any damaged or worn components. Also, at the end of the growing season, it is important to winterize the drip irrigation system to protect it from freezing temperatures. This involves draining the system of all water and disconnecting the timer. You may also want to remove the emitters and store them indoors to protect them from damage. The specific steps for winterizing the system will vary depending on the type of system you have. Remember to label all the zones. Use labels to identify each zone in your drip irrigation system. This will make it easier to troubleshoot any problems and to adjust the watering schedule for each zone. Use waterproof labels that are resistant to fading. Also, keep a map of your drip irrigation system. This map should show the location of all the main components of the system, including the water source, the pressure regulator, the filter, the timer, and the tubing. The map will be helpful for troubleshooting any problems and for making repairs. When choosing plants for your drip irrigation system, select plants that have similar water needs. This will make it easier to manage the watering schedule. Also, group plants together that have similar water needs. Avoid planting plants with high water needs next to plants with low water needs. This will ensure that all plants get the water they need without overwatering some plants and underwatering others. If you live in an area with hard water, consider using a water softener. Hard water can cause mineral buildup in the drip emitters, which can lead to clogging. A water softener will remove the minerals from the water, which will help to prevent clogging. Also, consider using a fertilizer injector. A fertilizer injector allows you to apply fertilizer directly through the drip irrigation system. This is a more efficient way to fertilize plants than applying fertilizer by hand. When using a fertilizer injector, be sure to use a fertilizer that is specifically designed for drip irrigation systems. Consider the slope of the land. If you are installing a drip irrigation system on a slope, you may need to use pressure compensating emitters. Pressure compensating emitters deliver a consistent amount of water regardless of the pressure. This will ensure that all plants get the water they need, even those at the top of the slope. Also, if the slope is steep, consider using a series of terraces to slow down the water flow and prevent erosion. Also consider the wind. If you live in an area with high winds, you may need to use drip tape instead of drip tubing. Drip tape is less likely to be blown around by the wind. Also consider using windbreaks to protect the drip irrigation system from the wind. Before installing a drip irrigation system, it is important to check with your local water authority to see if there are any restrictions on water use. Some water authorities may have restrictions on the amount of water you can use for irrigation. Also, they may have restrictions on the days and times that you can water. Also, consult with a professional irrigation designer. A professional irrigation designer can help you design a drip irrigation system that is tailored to your specific needs. They can also help you select the right components and install the system correctly. Also, consider attending a drip irrigation workshop. There are many drip irrigation workshops offered by local nurseries and extension services. These workshops can teach you the basics of drip irrigation and help you get started. When you begin a drip irrigation project, start small. Do not try to install the entire system at once. Start with a small area and gradually expand the system as you gain experience. Also, keep good records. Keep records of the components you use, the dates you installed them, and the watering schedules you set. This will help you troubleshoot any problems and make repairs. Consider using a smart controller. Smart controllers use weather data and soil moisture sensors to automatically adjust the watering schedule. This can save you water and money. Also, consider using rain sensors. Rain sensors will automatically shut off the drip irrigation system when it rains. This can also save you water and money. Mulching is an important part of any drip irrigation system. Mulch helps to retain moisture in the soil, which reduces the need for watering. Mulch also helps to suppress weeds, which can compete with plants for water and nutrients. Use organic mulch, such as wood chips, straw, or leaves. Avoid using inorganic mulch, such as plastic. Inorganic mulch can trap heat and damage plants. Observe the plants carefully. Watch the plants carefully to see how they are responding to the drip irrigation system. If the plants are wilting, they may not be getting enough water. If the plants are turning yellow, they may be getting too much water. Adjust the watering schedule as needed. Also, be aware of the possibility of root diseases. Drip irrigation systems can create a moist environment that is conducive to root diseases. To prevent root diseases, use well-drained soil. Avoid overwatering the plants. Apply a fungicide to the soil if necessary.